All right, let's talk about something I think we all get. You know that feeling? That sense of just being completely overwhelmed, like you're caught in your own personal storm. Today, we're going to dig into this really powerful idea about how to find some calm right in the middle of all that chaos. Okay, let's jump right in. So, let me just ask you this, straight up. Does your mind ever feel like a storm? You know, just a total whirlwind of worries and fears and all those what ifs? Because when you're stuck in that place, man, it is so easy to feel like you're completely and totally on your own. And that really brings us to our first big idea here, the storm in your mind. We're talking about that internal chaos, right? That feeling of turmoil that, let's be honest, can feel just as real and just as threatening as any storm you'd see outside. Now, here's what's so interesting about this. It's the assumption we all seem to make when we're in the thick of it. When that chaos is swirling, either around you or inside your head, what's our go-to thought? It's usually something like, yep, I'm all alone, I've been abandoned. We actually start to believe that the struggle itself is proof that we've been left behind. But what if that's just flat out wrong? Okay, so let's dig into that idea a little more. We're going to look at a classic story, but not just as some old piece of history. Think of it more like a powerful case study for the kind of anxieties we deal with today. And it's that famous story of Jesus and his disciples caught in a boat on a super stormy sea. Okay, so first things first, let's be super clear about this. The storm they were in was not in their heads. This was a real, honest-to-goodness, life-threatening squall. We're talking waves crashing over the sides of the boat. This wasn't just a little bit of turbulence, you know? This was a full-blown crisis. And look, because that storm was so real, their fear was completely understandable. I mean, these guys were seasoned fishermen, right? They knew the sea, and yet they were absolutely terrified. They genuinely thought, this is it, we're going down. Their panic, it was a totally natural human reaction to a terrifying situation. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the story. In the middle of all this terror, with his friends completely freaking out, Jesus was there. He was present. But he wasn't panicking with them. No, he was asleep on a cushion of all things. I mean, think about that contrast for a second. Total chaos on the outside and just complete peace on the inside. So what does that really tell us about this idea of presence? Well, it's not about the storm magically disappearing. It's about having someone with you in the storm. His presence wasn't about changing the weather. It was just about the simple fact that he was there, in the boat, with them. That's it. Okay, to kind of bring this ancient story into our world, let's try an analogy. Imagine you're on an airplane, and suddenly you hit some really, really rough turbulence. What's so wild here is you've got two totally different ways of seeing the exact same event. From the passenger's point of view, you know, the disciples' view, all you see is the shaking. All you feel is that mounting panic. You're probably thinking, where on earth is the pilot? But from the pilot's perspective, they trust the system. They know the autopilot is on, and they can actually rest, confident, even while the whole plane is getting tossed around. And that right there is the key to the whole analogy. Just because the pilot is resting, it doesn't mean the plane is flying itself into a mountain. The pilot's rest isn't abandonment. It's a sign of trust in a system that's built to handle exactly this kind of thing. Them being calm doesn't mean the plane isn't being held securely on its course. Okay, so this kind of pushes us into a deeper, maybe even tougher idea. If God is present and he's in control, then why do these storms even happen in the first place, right? Well, this leads us to the concept of a permitted storm. There's a great quote from the preacher Charles Spurgeon that really hits his home. He said, "Nothing will happen to you but what God permits." Wow. What that suggests is that the storm isn't a sign that everything's gone wrong or out of control. It actually means that even the storm itself is happening within the boundaries of a much bigger, unseen plan. All right, so let's tie all of this together now. We've talked about the storm inside our own heads, we've looked at that story in the boat, and we've used that pilot analogy. So what's the big takeaway? What's the bottom line? Okay, the most important point is this. When you are feeling that wind and those waves, when the fear starts to creep up and you feel like you are literally about to go under, the fact that there is a storm does not mean the absence of God. Just let that sink in for a second. The chaos you're feeling is not proof that you've been abandoned. In fact, if this story teaches us anything, it's the exact opposite. It suggests that he is right there, in the boat with you, a calm presence right in the middle of your storm. That's a really powerful thought, but so what? What does that mean for you, like right now, today? When the waves of anxiety or fear are crashing down, what's the one simple thing you can actually grab onto? Just remember this one simple phrase: he's in the boat. Look, it's not some magic formula that makes the storm just vanish. It's not. But it is a promise of presence. It's a promise that you are not alone in this, and you never, ever will be.